The theory I chose is the communication accommodation theory. Howard Gills is a professor of communication at the University of California, Santa Barbara. The communication accommodation theory was introduced by Howard Gills in the 1970s. He has worked in many different fields of communication, including language, intercultural, interpersonal, health, lifespan, and media arenas. Intergroup, intergroup communication is his main area of study that he focuses on and actively researches. Gills has worked in many intercultural settings in order to conduct his research. Outside of his research, he spent time as a reserve detective lieutenant at the Santa Barbara Police Department. Gills has done outstanding research on the communication accommodation theory, which is what I will be researching for this paper. Found by Howard Gills in his research, the communication accommodation theory, also known as CAT, aids in explaining the adjustments we make to create, maintain, or decrease the social interactions we have with others. These adjustments aim at achieving approval or expressing social identity. In all of the conversations we have with other individuals, there are many aspects we do not take into consideration. There are many social dimensions that Gills mentions in his introduction. These include topics such as gender, culture, ethnicity, social status, age, and more that all have the ability to affect the way we communicate with the people around us. Often enough, we tend to lose the perception of how these topics truly do affect the way we think about others. As humans, we alter our communication to either converge with or diverge from the behaviors of others. There are many key components of the communication accommodation theory, the first one being convergence. Convergence is when individuals change their communication to match their interaction with the partner, mimicking patterns like gestures or attitudes to establish similarity with the person are examples of convergence. The opposite, being divergent, is when an individual will intentionally change their communication style to be different from the person they are communicating with. This divergence is used to create dominance over another person or create feelings of uniqueness in oneself to be different than the other individual. This then creates boundaries between different people. Another key component to this theory is over accommodation. This is when individuals will over exaggerate with their words or nonverbal cues. This can lead to wanted or unwanted consequences. The person being over accommodated can feel offended or a sense of discomfort. They may feel overwhelmed and could feel the need or want to pull back from the conversation. Lastly, under accommodation is not giving the right amount of effort into the conversation. When there is a lack of motivation to communicate efficiently with another individual, that can create conflicts. The other person may feel misunderstood or unheard, which will lead to a disinterest in communicating with that person again. It is important for us to recognize these key points so we can understand what is essential for effective communication and understand what we can do better in the future. This theory emphasizes the importance of respecting diverse communication styles. We should be flexible to adjust our communication to fit the needs of others to achieve mutual goals. Having empathy and understanding others' perspectives and how they feel is essential. This theory can be seen and applied in many situations. In our workplaces, for example, CAT can help inform training programs to improve communication between employees and or in team interactions. CAT can provide an inclusive and collaborative environment in our workplaces. In a healthcare setting, CAT can improve communication between patients and their providers. Being able to accommodate the needs of patients can affect the satisfaction of the patients. Applying CAT to healthcare can also provide more trust with medical advice and how their health will play out. Another place we can see CAT in action is in educational settings. The relationship between the students and the teachers is important for the student's success. Accommodating the needs of students is important, and that starts with communication. CAT plays a major role in the outcome and engagement of students. It has been shown that significant relationships that face hardships or relational strains adjust their communication patterns over time. CAT has been applied to communication contexts, including intergroup, intercultural, and interpersonal communication. Intergroup communication is the communication between different social groups. We can either choose to converge or diverge with these social groups, and that is what CAT dives into. Nonverbal cues like accents makes social groups from other social groups. Intercultural communication is the communication between people of diverse, different cultures. When talking to other people with a different cultural background than yourself, it is easy to find what makes you different from them, but it is what we do with that information that matters. Using context clues during conversations is useful when adapting to others during conversations. Interpersonal communication is explained in CAT to understand that we use nonverbal cues like gestures, or we change our speech patterns to adapt to others while communicating. When an individual converges during interpersonal communication, there is a sense of closeness with the other person. If there is divergence, there will be a sense of distance. Gills was also able to identify a number of factors that influence the accommodations we make while communicating with others. One of the factors being social identity. Social identity is how we perceive ourselves as well as the people we talk to around us. Based on things like our age and gender will alter the thoughts we have on others. Those thoughts will then alter what we say and how we communicate with others, which is where the theory ties in. Another factor is context. Context could be things like the setting or physical environment we are in. Another could be the cultural norms. The context dives deeper into the person and who they are or what they may believe. We are able to know more about a person when we know more about them than just their age or their gender. The last factor is communication goals. These goals are what is wanted to be achieved in the conversations we have with each other. There are numerous goals we each individually have, which could be to impress, persuade, or build trust with someone. We have been advancing in technology, and because of that, I want to touch on the communication accommodation theory and the use of technology. Besides the face to face conversations we have, the digital communication we have as well is evolving. Instead of facial expressions, we have emojis. Instead of talking, we have text messaging. We are not only adjusting how we communicate in person, but also over the phone. By using exclamation points or periods, we can express how we feel. We can text properly or poorly. Emails could come off professional and well thought out, or the opposite. CAT extends into technology, and there is still continuous research on this topic. After researching the communication accommodation theory, I realized that I should incorporate this theory more in my everyday life. What I took most away from this research was that the way we communicate with one another is based upon many things that this theory touches upon. When I think about it more, I tend to realize that I do change and adapt to communicate better with the other individual I am communicating with. Age, gender, cultural backgrounds, and more make me naturally change the way I communicate with someone. I realize that it is important to also accommodate others' needs and not just express our own. I will now use this theory to the future interpersonal communication I will have with others. The communication accommodation theory exemplifies how individuals instinctively change their communication styles in order to be able to connect or disconnect efficiently with other individuals. If we apply the CAT to our everyday lives, we can begin to see improvement in our relationships with others, whether it be an acquaintance or a close friend. When good communication is present, we can fully understand one another better. When talking to friends and family, we can begin and learn to show empathy, or we can learn to be understanding of one another. In a more professional setting, we can alter the tone of our voice to sound more formal. This can make us seem more mature, confident, authoritative, or any possible way you present yourself. In so many aspects of life, we can enhance our conversations with others. The more often we apply the CAT to our lives, it will come more naturally to think about our goals when we converse with others. In conclusion, the communication accommodation theory provides a valuable framework for understanding interpersonal communication. In this paper, I have covered the key concept of CAT. I have also gone over its relevance in interpersonal communication and when it is seen and understood in our daily lives. This theory helps us understand that communication is not only about the exchange of words or information, but also how we alter our styles of communication to fit the needs of others. We are constantly building relationships and making meaningful conversations with other individuals. This can be seen with friends, family, in the workplace, in school, and much more. Whether we realize it or not, we are always incorporating CAT into every conversation we have with others. Whether we are engaging in convergence or divergence, we are aligning our behaviors with others around us. The communication accommodation theory gives us all insight on the ways our language and behavior can shape our communication with one another. We can start more meaningful conversations and have mutual understanding with one another. And I have this video.